What's going on, everybody? This is Economic News Insights, and today we're going to talk about the U.S. economy. You know, the thing that prompted me to make this video actually was the constant news that I see about layoffs, corporate layoffs, corporations saying AI is going to be laying off half of the jobs by the year 2030. And, we just got done with the Doge thing where they laid off a bunch of government workers. And you start to think in your head, okay, who's getting laid off here and how much of these layoffs are going to start to impact the housing markets and the economy in general. By the way, if you guys are just tuning in, happy Sunday. Thanks for smashing up the likes as we continue to build up this channel where we talk about things about economics, finance, and all that. So what we're going to talk about in this video is we're going to talk about the tariffs. We're going to talk about the unemployment rate. We're going to talk about basically everything that really matters: the labor market, inflation, interest rates, and slowing growth. So, as you guys know, the US economy is not collapsing, right? Like right now, it is not collapsing. People are saying the dollar is going to go away as the reserve status. As of right now, it's not happened. In some cases, there's been a de-euroization. That means that countries are not trading euros as much, but the dollars are still being traded at a fairly good rate for different types of trade. Although we know what's going on with the trade war, there is a trade war going. It just makes you wonder what's going to happen when some of these deals get secured. Is the U.S. economy going to get back to being secure and strong, or what can we expect moving forward? So the stock market right now, it looks pretty stable. It looks strong. It looks like it's recovered from April. But behind the scenes, growth has been slowing. So inflation still sticky. They came out with a report. They said inflation is down, but you have to keep in mind what inflation means is that that's the percentage at which the economy is growing in terms of cost or price. So when they say inflation is down, that doesn't mean prices are coming down. That just means the growth of inflation isn't as much as it was previously. We saw like almost a hyperinflation in like 2021, 2022, 2023, especially in housing. But the thing is, interest rates still are not coming down, and it doesn't look like they're coming down anytime soon. So the harsh truth about the U.S. economy here in mid-2025, there's no hype here. We're not going to fear monger. We're just going to provide facts, and that's what counts the most, right? So with that bit of information, now you know what to expect in this video. So GDP is at 1.5 to 1.9%, and we even saw a mild contraction in Q1, right? So consumer spending is weakening, housing is softening. So the prices of houses in places like Arizona, Texas, Florida, kind of coming down a bit. They're not rising. That's good for potential buyers, people who are looking to rent or buy. But it might not be good long term if it goes down too far or if it collapses down, right? But we are definitely seeing consumer spending weakening. Also, the prices of goods are still very high. You go to Walgreens, you go to CVS, and you just get, I don't know, deodorant. Like I paid $10 for a stick of deodorant recently at CVS, and I was like, I don't ever remember paying anything even close to that. It seemed like it was like $4.95 for a stick of deodorant. And I just got the regular one that I always get, Old Spice. I'm just using that as an example, but things are definitely up. People have talked about eggs or milk. That seems to be the one, or toilet paper. People are obsessed with toilet paper in the United States. I don't get it. In Asia, they always just use a bidet. Have you guys ever used a bidet? I don't know, man. I'm not a big fan of those. Actually, the Japanese have the best bidets. You literally just push a button on the toilet. They have like 7 to 10 different buttons you can push, like warm water, and it just basically, you don't have to like grab anything off the wall. I'm just saying, you don't need toilet paper. Business investment is also down because interest rates are down. So thanks in part to uncertainty with tariffs, energy prices. We don't know where energy prices are. There's inconsistencies. There was just a boat that actually caught on fire, carrying a bunch of electric vehicles going from Mexico to China. I think like 3,000 electric vehicles were on that ship, and the whole crew of about 25 to 50 men had to get off the ship, and they're just going to let the ship sink. 3,000 vehicles going from Mexico to China. Was an American shipment, but either way, that's kind of interesting information. I guess when a electric car battery catches on fire, it's quite incendiary. Now, inflation and interest rates. So core inflation is about 2.8 to 3% over the Fed's 2% target. So the Fed wants to be at around 2% inflation. So inflation is just part of the game. This is why you need to be investing. This is why saving dollars doesn't really work, because there's a 2% target for inflation just across the board, and we're almost always over that inflation rate. So you need to be in things like stocks or gold or Bitcoin, things that are appreciating in value. Do you get it? Now you understand why, if you just hold money, if you have $15,000 in the bank since 2000, that purchasing power of that $15,000 is not the same purchasing power that it had in the year 2000 because of inflation. So you have to be thinking of alternative ways to store your wealth. This is where the store of wealth comes in, because the US dollar is inflationary. Fiat currencies are inflationary. So that's just a currency, but you can store your wealth in things like gold, Bitcoin, stocks. We talked about this, bonds. People have been, there's no real safe bet long term. You just have to kind of be flexible. If you get into something and you're like, oh, well, I'm in the 401k and it's just going to provide my retirement. Well, what we've seen with 401ks, they've gone down. You got to be ready to, move on a dime. That's why you need to have financial literacy. That's why you have to have a financial education. And that's why we're creating this channel, is because we're kind of sharing this information, because we all want to be financially literate. I want to be financially literate. I want to share that information with you guys so you're also financially literate. So right now, the interest rates really high. The Fed's benchmark rate are stuck around about 4.5%. So they want to be at 4.5%. That includes mortgages, car loans, credit cards. Some of you guys got credit cards. I know I have credit cards, charge cards, 18%, 24%. I think American Express is one of the highest ones. But that's a charge card. You pay as you go. You won't get hit with interest if you pay as you go. It's when you start to accumulate and hold the debt, right? So let's talk about the labor market. Unemployment is creeping up. It's now around 4.3%. Why? Well, there's a lot of layoffs going on. AI is supposed to be laying off a bunch of people. People are expecting to have like a 10% unemployment possibility because of AI. Some people are saying it could be even higher than that. I mean, 10% is not even really the real number of unemployment. That's just the people who are actually looking for jobs who have been laid off recently. So the truth is, wages are not keeping up with the cost of living. This is a complaint. We can go on and on about that, but it's just frustrating for, most blue collar workers, right? And then, the big risk that we have right now is the global tensions. There's a lot of global tensions, whether it be US and China, Ukraine and Russia, Europe and Russia, China and Taiwan. There's just like this instability. Iran and Saudi Arabia. It's always been there, Palestine, Israel, but it just seems like it's a little bit more amped up. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I remember in the 90s, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Chechnya. I mean, Russia's always got some sort of wars going on, don't they? They're like the US. I mean, they're always training their force. It's like, if you have a military, use it, right? So if you use your military, you get training for your troops. So it's like combat readiness, I guess, is maybe why the US and Russia always like to be in some sort of conflict, because they like to have troops that are, ready to defend and have real world practice, I guess. I don't know if that's exactly the reason why, but it seems plausible. The US is running massive trade deficits, budget deficits. The amount of imports versus exports very down. I mean, what the US right now basically exports technology. And most of it is invisible. It's things that are on the internet. Like, what does the United States produce in country, manufacture, and then sell to the rest of the world? The dollar's too strong to really make places like Vietnam or Thailand. U.S. products are not affordable in those places. Africa, I mean, so many places. The U.S. If you go to Europe, you drive around in a car, you're not going to see like a Chevy or a Ford on the road. I've seen them over in Asia, actually, but a lot of countries aren't driving Ford, Chevys. I mean, the only thing that I really see that the US has is the weapons, our weapon systems, as well as our aircraft. I do see a lot of aircraft out there. Hey, Ghost Rider, what's going on? Nice to see you on there. Thanks to everyone who's smashing up the likes. My homeowner's insurance went up 191% since 2018, started at 452 this year, 1300 same policy term. See, that's frustrating. That is frustrating. Just it's little things like that, because you have homeowners insurance, then you have auto insurance, and then if they all just kind of tick up, right? It's like, a little bit of nickel and diamond here, but in this case, going from 452 to 1300, that's a huge jump in price. Okay, people in Arizona are talking to me about how the cost of water has like doubled and tripled in some cases, like a 10 to 15% increase in electricity. So you're seeing it across the board, not just in food, not just in gas, but in pretty much everything. So it's like a hidden tax that's just baked into the cake, and it's just everywhere. And when your wages aren't going up, I don't get it. I mean, it just seems unstable. And then they talk about more layoffs. I'm just like, something doesn't make sense here. Like, how is, and the corporations, Apple, Nvidia, Google, I mean, Microsoft, they're at like all-time highs. Amazon, I remember back in 2020 when a $1 trillion market cap for a stock was considered very high. Amazon was like the first company. Microsoft was like the second company to hit a $1 trillion market cap. Right now, Nvidia has like a $3 trillion market cap. So does Microsoft. I mean, that's 3 times what it was in 2020. But these are companies still saying they need to do layoffs. Meta, layoffs. Corporate, I just saw a CNBC article. Corporate lawyers getting ready to do massive layoffs across many different corporations. I'm like, okay, so these corporations are pulling in record profits. Their stocks booming. I mean, even if it's down like 10 to 15% over the year, it's still like way above where it was in 2020. So they're making like way more money than they were in 2020. And Americans, the actual blue collar people, are not making anywhere near record profits, record incomes. So I don't understand where that money is. It's just like tied up. Is it just like money that's always just going to be tied up and never to touch the ground, never to touch the actual people? It's just like, and then if it does get sold off, if they do take profits and they take chips off the table, that means their stock's going to go down, okay, which could create buying opportunities. But then, people are going to complain who's in the market. So I don't know. It just seems like being an investor seems to be where the value is right now. And because most of these jobs are going to get replaced, it's like, if you're not investing right now, I don't know what you're doing. If you're not actively exploring investment opportunities, I do not know what you're doing. This is the cold, hard truth. And, with consumer debt at record levels, delinquency is climbing, people unable to pay their credit cards, people unable to pay their rent, their mortgage. Like, I just saw this one video. It was crazy how many like 22-year-olds are like trying their best working at jobs, and they're living in their cars, and they're like making videos like, hey, here's how I live in my car. Here's how I heat my top ramen in my car. It's cool that they're creative like that, and kudos to them. And they seem sober, like they don't seem like they're on drugs. But how long do they continue to live and sleep in their car before they just kind of throw in the towel and say, this, I can't do this anymore? Literally sleeping in the car, getting a gym membership, showering. I get it. It's like the sleeping on the couch thing, but it's not just like young people. It's also older people. And at some point in time, these people that are basically homeless, what happens? I mean, when they throw in the towel and they say enough's enough, like, where's their breaking point? And it just seems like it's very unsustainable. So what can you do right now? Well, we talked about it. Start securing some investment strategy, maybe a diverse investment strategy. Have an emergency fund available. Have a credit card on the sidelines in case you need to use it in a SHTF situation. Okay, when it hits the fan. So Having some savings in cash, that's a short-term plan, right? We talked, you don't want to have a lot of cash in savings. Like if you got more than $15,000 in savings, you probably don't need that much in savings. You should be investing if you're over $15,000 in cash. I would say you should be looking at investments. And that's up to you where you want to invest, not professional financial advice. But I'm just saying, think about it, do your own research, cut unnecessary debts. So if you see yourself spending money in certain areas, I don't know, uh, the areas where I notice like Apple loves to just like $5 here, $6 here. Even Amazon kind of does that. I'm like, Amazon digital payment for 5.95, and I'm like, that's like I've been seeing that for like a month. Or I mean, every month for like 12 months. I don't know. But when you're doing the investments, by the way, be selective with your investments. Look for value, not hype. So try to get into like the Mag 7. Those are like the strong companies. Don't get into like penny stocks, or if you're getting into crypto, don't get into like small cap altcoins until you get like a big enough amount of money to where you can speculate or gamble at that level. But when it comes to your actual career, I would say try not to quit your day job. Now is not the time to quit your day job. If anything, you should be focusing on building skills and, getting more into trades, like learning actual survival skills, things that are like things that the world will always need. Farmers, uh, medical people, uh, construction people, people who can build things with their hands, carpenters. I would say carpenter is like a very sustainable job. But these are things that we got to take into consideration. Ghostwriter says, unsustainable. Can't imagine trying to retire. I mean, you just start to wonder, like, what the people who are running the country, is this like, are they doing this intentionally? Is this like an accident? Do they know what they're doing? Like, do they have something up their sleeve that, like, I mean, I would say they probably got something up their sleeve. Like, they probably got a solution to this, and it might be UBI. They keep talking about universal basic income as like something that's a very plausible possibility moving forward. Thanks to everyone who's smashing up the likes. I love the engagement on the channel, by the way. It just shows that this channel is growing. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers, and that growth has all happened like in the last month or so. What do other countries' workers have for retirement benefits? I talked to people outside of the country, like in Singapore and Asia. I'll be honest with you, they're always working. Like these people that I've talked to in Singapore, for example, every day they work. Like in China, in Asia, all across Asia, really, people work every day. They don't take days off. And it's so weird because like America right now, everyone's like 4-day work week, like but these people, like I'll talk to like a taxi driver, or I'll talk to someone who works as a chef, and they all say they don't take a day off. So like their work ethic is way more in Asia, the work ethic is way more intense than the US. I don't know what they would do if like AI actually started taking their jobs, because the people here are like I could see how Asia just went, or like countries in Asia are just going up. I mean, if you look at Thailand, you look at Malaysia, Vietnam, China, Japan, I mean, they're all pretty much on the up and up. I mean, Japan's kind of always been on the up and up, and then they go down and then they go up. But I mean, people in Asia, their work ethic, I mean, you see it in the US. When you go to when you see like a Asian owned, whether whatever, if they're from Asia, whether it be India or China, and they own a convenience store or a massage place or whatever they own, I mean, they work more than anyone else. You can't knock work ethic. I mean, that you just can't. Um, so someone said UBI take away more rights. The government never gives you free things without them taking something. Yes. Don says, this guy has pretty necklace. He pretty. Oh, this right here is an actual hematite. It's supposed to improve circulation. That's why I wear it. I got it for $15.99 on Amazon. I don't know if you guys know about hematite, but it improves your circulation. So I'm trying to get some circulation going around. But thanks, Don. That's a very interesting comment that you made. So thanks to 8 people who smashed up the likes. But let's get back on subject here. And if we talk about what it is that we can expect moving forward, Do you guys think we're headed to a recession or a recovery? I mean, we're not in a recession. We've still got 1.5% growth. It's down from 2.5%, but the writing is on the wall that things are a bit shaky. We'll see what ends up happening. We saw the political turmoil that we had here recently with Trump and Musk. I mean, it was kind of interesting because a lot of people say they saw that coming. I got to be honest, like it was just weird from the very beginning. The it was I don't use the word cringe, but from the very beginning, it was a bit cringe. I mean, if I was ever going to use a word cringe, it was just because, like, Elon, man, like the way I guess, I don't know. They say he's on like r- ketamine or something. I have no idea. I don't like to speculate if someone's on something or not, but it just seemed like, yeah, he just seemed kind of. And Trump, Trump's sober. He doesn't do alcohol. He doesn't do anything like that. So it's it was just kind of bizarre behavior. Like it was uh, when you would watch the interviews, you'd kind of be like, I don't know how long this is going to last. And they had a couple falling outs before. And if you guys track Trump long enough, he's had falling outs with pretty much everyone. I mean, from Pence to Bill Barr to General um, Mad Dog Mattis. I mean, what's that guy? John Bolton. I mean, he pretty much his first presidency, his entire cabinet. Like, I don't think there's anyone who's like stuck with them. Like, maybe that dude Mike Pompeo. Maybe Pompeo. I think Giuliani's been along there, but I mean, it just seems like, whoever Trump gets cozy with. I mean, it's just a matter. You almost think like, okay, is he going to have a falling out with JD Vance? Is he going to have a falling out with, you know, Basent or Howard Lutnick? I mean, we don't know. I mean, but he seems to be the consistent head of the Republican Party. That's for sure. Thanks to everyone who smashed up the likes. Um, Ghost Rider says, Don Smith, you're funny. Yeah, I mean, hey, the necklace. It is a hematite. um, our living good says, I don't like either man, but Elon has a definitely a weirdo. Trump can say funny things, stuff, and it's personable. It seems. Yeah, I mean, as all politics and everything, but yeah, you have to pay attention to the politics. The funny thing is, from the left, you never hear anything about the left. Like they've gone cold, they've gone silent. I mean, I rarely hear anything from them. They're like in the war room, plotting and planning, kind of waiting on things. It's like they're like, hey, just let Donald just do his thing, and he'll eventually, you know, do something crazy, and then that's their opportunity to pounce and like move in and say, "Here's the solution." It seems like that's kind of what they're waiting on, but we'll see what ends up happening. Hopefully, I mean, as Americans, all we can hope for is that we get a strong economy, job rates improve, and our financial situations can improve and get more stable. Because I think a lot of people have more stress is caused by financial than anything. And then the finance can lead into health, which causes an additional problem. So it's like you got two leaks, you got anxiety, depression, health problems because you don't have enough money. And then, it just kind of, it's like financial prosperity can really fix a lot of problems. Ghost Rider says the left is embarrassed. Are they? I don't know. Maybe they are. Got a tea here. It's 11 o'clock at night. What time is it where you guys are at? So you guys think UBI is going to happen, huh? We'll see. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks to everyone who smashed up the likes. Let's keep doing more of these live streams as time goes by. I think they're fun. And as the channel grows, obviously the community is going to get a lot bigger. We can go longer and everything like that. So see you guys on the next one. Thanks, Ghost Rider, for tuning in and doing your part. And thank you, Our Living Good and JD and Dawn. Who else we got here? Yeah. Thanks for commenting. I would keep going, but you know, we're still a small community, so we haven't quite got the energy yet. See you on the next one.